Started.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about, this is a training on how to create a professional search on LinkedIn, okay? And I'm going to share with you information directly from LinkedIn and what we've learned over the past several years. I've been on LinkedIn since 2003. And so you're going to find things in here that aren't actually inside LinkedIn. I looked inside LinkedIn today when I was putting this together to see if they had any new information. But their information is kind of basic. So we've learned a lot from actually doing what we're doing. So when you go through this search and you learn what I'm going to show you today, and you're going to have this, you should all have this checklist. Reach out and make sure you get it if you don't, so you can be looking at it and taking notes as needed while we're doing this. You will be an expert relative to your clients. I don't care how long they've been on LinkedIn. I can guarantee you they don't know what you're going to know relative to creating a search. And this is a formula I was just talking about. This is part art. It's part science. The science is understanding what LinkedIn is and how it's constructed and how the search works. You know, this, what is this, 4 pages, you know, a little over 3 pages. This is not complicated. You just have to understand how it works. Once you understand how it works, you'll understand how it works for every client that you have. And you'll be able to talk with confidence to anybody about how it works and why the search that you've created is the best possible search at that moment in time, because searches change, right? Over time for them. So you can feel confident when you're talking about search and about the searches that you've created. And if you have questions as you're creating them, then just reach out to one of us and we're happy to help you. We have Corey Sanchez here, who you all met on Wednesday. I do want to actually let him talk about the winner's circle first. He mentioned it on Wednesday. I think he and Kimberly talked about it. I think she shared information with you about it. So let's do that first so that you can go through the experience of it, and so you'll understand, because we're going to do that for going forward for all of our searches and the next, all of our trainings. So the next training session that we have, we'll do a winner's circle probably for what you learned on Wednesday. We'll also include questions about the search checklist. So let's start. Corey, do you just want to talk? Do I need to give you the presenter, or how do you want to work it?
Oh, no, I'll just talk for sure. Okay. Absolutely. So here's what, by the way, great to be here. We had a great training the other day. I thought it was fabulous. You guys were super on the ball, interactive. Thanks, David, for arranging it and for also this training. So we're getting really aggressive about really awesome training. So it's, you know, we're going to be throwing a lot of information at you guys. We're going to be testing you and quizzing you on it, and it's going to be fun, but your retention is going to go up dramatically. So the winner's circle is something we've done in our own team for a long time, and it's been amazing. It's a fun little thing. So here's what the winner's circle is. Every time we provide a training, what we're going to do is we're going to quiz you guys and do a fun kind of pop quiz. It's not really a pop quiz. Pop quiz is a surprise. We're always going to let you know about it. And we're going to quiz you guys on the last training that we did. And you'll always have the information, obviously, from your own notes and from whatever management and provides for you guys to study up and train. But we'll always do kind of like a quiz, anywhere from 5 to 10 questions, where we'll if you answer the question correctly, right, then you get a point, and if you answer the fastest, then you also get another point. So you get 2 points if you are the first one to answer and it's correct. Okay, and then we tally them up at the very end, and we announce a winner. And typically what we do is we give prizes away, which makes it kind of fun. So so Jeff, did you want me to go through kind of like a quiz from like a winner's circle quiz from the training we did on Wednesday? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, just kind of show them how it works.
Okay, cool. So here's what I'd like to do. is I'm going to get Kim's help with this. And Kim, are you there? Can you come out on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get Kim's help in doing this. And so basically what we're going to do is I'm going to ask a question. You're going to send a message to Kim, right? And you're going to send your answer to Kim individually, not in the group chat or anything like that. Because remember, you get a point for answering correctly, and so you're just going to do it separately. So basically, what Kim's going to do is keep track of, number one, who answered the fastest, and also who actually answered it correctly. So you'll get a point if you answer it correctly, no matter what. In the time limit, we usually give about I would say 15, 20 seconds for you to answer it. And then you also get a point if you're the first one to answer as well. So Kim, do you have any questions at all, or are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, perfect. So Kim will keep track. I'll get. So basically, here is. So we're going to do that. So make sure you're fast on the draw, okay, and ready, because obviously you get an extra point if you answer it the fastest. So let me just pull up, let's see, let me just pull open my first question here. Okay, so this is going to be all over the stuff that you learned on Wednesday. And by the way, Kim, did the team get the notes from the session as well?
Mm-hmm.
They did? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Good. If I could get a copy of the notes, that would also be excellent. So just so I know what everybody's getting. But I'm just going to go based on what the training outline that we gave. So, okay. So let's talk about, so here's the first question. Okay. And the first question is, Ira went over a formula inside his part of the training that was called CEMS. CEMS. So go to the chat box, or ping Kim and tell her what CEMS stands for. What does CEMS stand for?
I only got like 4 responders. How about the others?
Okay, we're coming up to the time limit right now. Coming up to the time limit. So I'll give you another 5 seconds. Okay, so if you want to log the points there. Do you want to tell us who was the first person to answer, Kim?
It was Francis Joy.
Francis Joy. Francis Joy, you want to come out on the line and tell us what CEMS stands for?
It's congratulate, educate, motivate, and success stories.
Yeah, nice job. Excellent. So awesome. Congratulate, educate, motivate, and tell success stories. So that's the formula you should use when you are interacting with clients, and every time you talk to them, that's the formula. So congratulations, Francis. You got the first ever winner circle. You got the first ever double points combination. So that's awesome. Congratulations to you. Okay. Perfect. So there's 3 reasons that people will stay being a client. Okay. There's 3 reasons that people will stay being a client. So if you could type those into Kim, that would be excellent. 3 reasons that a client will continue to be a client. I talked about this when I was going. Give everybody 10 more seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, Kim, do you want to read off the person who answered it the first and correctly?
Yes, Monolay.
Monolay, nice. Monolay, come on the line. What are the 3 reasons that a client will continue to be a client?
That's an experience or a good experience, results. Client will never leave if we give them good results and a response. We need to give them, will feel valued if we respond to their concern as quickly as we can. So
I love it. Nice, Monolay. Excellent job. Perfect. You are exactly right. Experience, results, and response, right? They'll stay because you make them feel awesome. You give an experience that they can't get anywhere else because you make them the hero in their own movie, right? That's what experience is all about, results, but they're actually getting leads, they're getting connections, and they're getting new clients and appointments. And response, how quickly can we respond to them? If we respond right away, then they'll stay and continue to be, they'll love us, right? And sometimes, even if things are not going the way they should be going, the faster we can respond to them and stay on top of those, the more they'll love us. So that's perfect. So Monolay, nice, way to go. You get the 2 points for this round, right? And then of course, and by the way, who and Kim, you want to read off who got the answers correct on that one as well?
Yeah, we have Charlene, Tess, Mr. David, Francis Joy. I think everyone did.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't count David because David's obviously
He's
management.
mad I was surprised.
Right. But yes, of course, David's going to get all the right answers here, and that's phenomenal. Okay, cool. So, all right. So let's go through the next question. So in the training, we talked about how many connections, at a minimum, your client should be getting a week. So how many connections, at a minimum, should your client be getting a week? Okay, so log your answers. All right, give 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, Kimberly, you want to let us know who was the first to answer correctly?
Charlene.
Charlene, nice, all over it. Charlene, want to come out and tell us what is the minimum amount of connections your client should be getting a week?
So yeah, that would be 60.
60, nice. Perfect. Thank you so much, Charlene. Congratulations to you. 2 points to you. And then, Kim, do you want to tell us who got a point as well on that?
Charlene and then Tess.
Okay, perfect. Charlene and Tess. Okay.
Monolay.
And Monolay. Very nice. And obviously David. So, perfect. So that's excellent. Very good. Okay, cool. So 60 new, and by the way, I was talking with, we were talking with management yesterday, I was talking with Jeff, and we were, we were talking about increasing this to 75 because what we're going to be doing moving forward here is some new things that will make sure and ensure and guarantee that a client can get 300 connections a month. So we're going to be quickly increasing that to 75 just so everybody knows at a minimum, because moving forward we're actually going to be putting together a guarantee for our customers that they'll get minimum of 300 connections. So that's not in place yet, but that is something looming on the horizon. We were going to wait to power with David to make sure that happens. Correct, it is 60 as of right now, so that's excellent. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go into the next quiz question, okay? There are 4 reasons that a client is not getting 60 connections per week. There's 4 reasons that a client is not getting 60 connections per week. I'm going to read off 2 of them, and I want you to fill in the other 2, okay? So there's number 1, their connection requests are not going out. Number 2, their search is not correct. And what are the other 2 reasons that somebody would not be getting 60 connections per week? Okay. Give you guys a little bit of time for this one. And then what I'd like Kim to do in a second is put together her own quiz question. I think that'd be great to get her used to doing this. And David, if you have one as well, love for you to, based on the training on the other day, if you've got a quiz question, that would be fabulous.
No,
Okay.
I do not have a quiz question. I'm trying to win, and I'm not happy.
Mr. David, it's your keyboard. It's too slow.
That's funny. All right, cool. So, here's the Kim. Do you have the person who responded back the fastest and correctly?
Not sure. They have different answers.
Let me give it to you. I'm going to send you the correct answer. Okay.
Okay.
So the question was, there's 4 reasons that a client is not getting 60 connections per week, right? First 2 were that their connection requests are not going out and they're not connecting to the right people. So I sent Kim the answer. Is this, Kim, do you have somebody who responded back with those correct?
Yeah, I have Tess. But
Okay.
I think it's not actually the same wording, but it's the same meaning.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. So as long as it's the same meaning, then that's cool. So Tess, do you want to come out and give us the answers?
Yeah, I think a weak profile.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
A profile that doesn't not so professional, needs to be worked on, something like that.
Yep, that's perfect. Was there another one that you gave? Because there's 2 other reasons.
I only gave one.
Oh, you only gave one. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, well that is one of the right ones though.
And I
What's
also
that?
have Monolay.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
Tess, great job. That is one of the answers. Monolay, do you have the other answer?
Yes, holiday, there's going to be less responses, so people don't really go into their LinkedIn if it's a holiday, and also the strength of their profile. Those are my answers.
Okay. Yes, perfect. And those are actually correct. And you're exactly right, because I did talk about holidays, and people on holidays do get less interaction. So that's another one. And actually, it wasn't quite the one I had written down, but that is definitely deserved. Yes, that is definitely correct. What you said is absolutely correct. The other reason that they might not be getting enough connections is if their connection request message needs to be improved, right? And Typically how that happens is if they modify their own connection message, it's modified from the one we typically give them, and it's kind of spammy or a little bit too forceful or sounds spammy or something like that. So that could be the other reason they're not getting enough connections, because for sure people will look at their profile if they want to connect to them, they'll see the message, and if they don't like the message that they got asking for the connection, then they probably won't connect to somebody, right? So that could be the other reason. So actually, yes. So there's actually more reasons. There could be more reasons than that, but we have logged down 5 reasons as of now. So yeah, great job, Monolay, and great job, Tess, on providing the right answers. Those are absolutely correct. So excellent. Okay, good. And then Kim, I'd like to ask if you have, you'd like to take a go at a quiz question, based on the information in the notes.
Hold on, let me.
Sure. Yeah, take your time. That's cool. I know this is the first one, but it's important. Yeah, it's good to get some good experience on this, and that's fabulous. While you're doing that, okay, I will ask my next question, okay? And this is just going to be product knowledge, okay? A little bit of product knowledge question for everybody, okay? How many connection requests, and this should be a fairly easy one, how many connection requests are we sending every single month? All right, go and answer the question. This should be fairly simple, so I'm just going to give you 5 seconds to answer. 2 and 1. Okay. Kim, do you want to read off who answered the quickest?
What's the right answer, by the way?
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad we're asking this. I'm glad we're doing this. We're sending out 1,000 connection requests every single month.
Yay, I got it right.
Oh, yeah. Monolay.
Monolay. Okay, perfect. Monolay. All right, excellent. Yes, we're sending out 1,000 connection requests every single month. Okay, and that's a really important thing to know because this is something the client needs to know about what we're doing. So 1,000 connection requests every single month. Monolay, excellent. Who else got a point regarding that? Who else answered that correctly?
That was Monolay.
Okay, perfect. Did anybody else answer that correctly?
Charlene. Monolay and then Charlene.
Charlene. Okay, got it. Nice. All right, good job to you guys. You guys get points. Okay, good. Very important fact. 1,000 connection requests we're sending out every single month. Okay, next question. As part of the gold plan, we have a service where we're sending out emails to folks and following up. And this is for people that are not responding on LinkedIn. We are sending emails to people that don't respond on LinkedIn. How many emails are we sending, and over how many days? How many emails over how many days are we sending out to follow up with people that are not responding on LinkedIn? Okay, give you another 5 seconds. Okay, Kim, I sent you the answer. If you want to see who answered correctly and first.
Yeah, it's Christy.
Christy, nice. Christy, you want to come out and tell us the answer?
3 emails in 14 days.
Okay, say that again. So you're breaking up a little bit.
That's 3 in 14 days.
Did you say how many emails over 14 days?
Oh, probably I got it wrong. Sorry. I got 3 in over 14.
Ah, okay, got it. Yes, that's actually not correct. So is there anybody, Kim, I sent you the answer. Do you want to see if...
I only saw 1,000. I'm sorry. 4 in over 14 days. Only Mr. David got the answer.
Ah, okay.
Oh, I got the answer right. Did you see my...
Oh, your first answer was 1,000, so I didn't.
No, that's 1,000 for the first the previous question that Corey.
But Mr. David, yeah.
Come
Mr.
on, I'll
David
fight
got
you
it
for it,
right.
Monterey. I'll fight you
No,
for
but I
it.
answered correctly. I answered correctly. The 1,000 was the answer to the previous question, and I said
Mr.
here for
David was the one who answered it for the first.
Okay,
in
I'll
the
take the
first
second
5
one.
seconds. In the first 5 seconds. So, is there a second place for this?
Yeah.
Like,
there is a second place based on the points. Yes, there is only the fastest and correct, and if you answered it correct. So those are the only 2 ways you get points. You get a point if you answer correctly, and you get a point if you answer correctly and you were the first one. So, so who answered this correctly, just in general?
Actually, everyone else. We have Charlene, except for Christy. She has 3 over 14 days. So everyone else answered correctly. Test.
Okay.
4 emails.
Okay, cool. Yeah, 4. Yeah, and make sure you're only logging the people that answer in the time limit, not afterwards. Okay. So, perfect. So, congratulations to those. And who answered first?
Mr. David.
Well, of course, Mr. David's going to have it correct. But since David's part of management, right, he can get 2 points, of course. But who was the first team member that answered correctly?
It was Manalay.
Yeah.
Monolay. Okay. All right. Great job, Monolay. Okay, excellent. Okay, good. Perfect. Let's see. All right, so that's a very important. Jeff, do you have a question you'd like to ask product knowledge-wise? I think this would be great if you've got a question for product knowledge that the team should know. That would be good for them to know. It might be helpful.
Yes, but give me a second to think of one.
I will. Okay, good. And then Kim, have you had time to prepare your question as well?
Oh, yeah. It was the statement that Ira made. Can you fill out the blank? Like speed loves, and then what's the next word?
Ah, nice question. Very nice question. Fill in the blank. Speed loves what? All right, I'll give you just 10 more seconds on this one. Three, two, one, and done. Okay. Kim, do you want to give us the winner on that one? Who answered correctly and first?
Yes, it was Christy.
Christy, nice. Come on out and give us the answer.
Speed loves success. That's what he said.
Yeah, speed loves success. And also success loves speed. That is exactly correct. So yeah, great job, Christy, for getting that. Who also got that one right?
Everyone.
Okay, good. Perfect. Great question. Great answers, guys. Excellent.
All right, I've got my question.
All right, perfect. Go for it.
All right, LinkedIn is the world's biggest B2B blank website. So what is LinkedIn known for?
Excellent question.
Think about what our clients are looking for.
All right, 5 more seconds on that one. And done. Okay, Jeff, want to give up the answer, and then we'll go to Kim for the results.
All right. There's actually 2 possible good answers that are acceptable here. One is LinkedIn is the world's biggest B2B lead generation website. And the other is LinkedIn is the world's biggest B2B networking site.
Love it. Excellent.
Mhm.
All right, Kim,
I got
who is the first person to answer
Yes.
correctly?
Christy.
Christy. Good job, Christy. And what was Christy's answer?
Lead generation.
Yep, perfect.
Excellent.
Excellent.
And yeah, we also have Frances Joy, but hers is looking for leads.
That's
So it should be.
that's it.
Perfect.
Yep.
Excellent.
And
Okay, good.
yeah, we also have Tess, social networking service.
Very good.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. All right, everybody. With that, we conclude the first winner's circle. I'm going to Kim will tally the points right now,
Yep.
so that way we can see who the winner is. Before I do that, did Jeff or David, did you guys want to offer a prize, or, you know, for the winner? You don't necessarily have to, but
Now we'll come up with a prize.
I think we could do.
Yeah, we'll come up with a prize. We'll confer. We didn't think about it before yet. We'll come up with a surprise.
Yep. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I like that. I like that. Did you guys enjoy that? Was that fun for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, nothing like good, healthy competition to learn as well. And they always say that the best way to learn things is actually to teach them. One of the other best ways is to actually, you know, do interactive interactive sessions like this. So that's fabulous. Kim, let me know when you've got the points all tallied together.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
No worries. And then we're going to turn it over to Jeff, who's going to go through the search and all that stuff. And got an amazing training here today. And then David, we want to do, I think, the next one on how to know if your clients are getting enough hot and warm leads. When did you guys want to do that training, David? That's the next one up after search.
Corey, what are you? Would you want to do? Do you want to? For you, do you want to?
Oops, sorry, you're breaking up, David.
Corey, do you want to do 2 trainings a month for the next couple months?
I would like to do. Well, I think we should do as many as possible the next 2 weeks. Is what we want to do, because at this very moment, you know, the biggest thing is that we accelerate everybody's training for sure. And so any training that we can do is going to dramatically help the team as far as knowing how to interact with the clients and knowing what to look for. So I say we do, we do this one today, and we do a training next week and as well. And,
Okay, let's do it on Tuesday. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect.
On Tuesday at 1:30 in the afternoon, so that everybody you have enough time to make sure your calendars are open for Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon.
Perfect. Okay. All right, good. Kim, and then Kim, over to you. Do you have the scores tallied yet?
Or, not yet. In a minute. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. And while we're waiting, and then Jeff, I think what I want to do is taking what we learned from Kevin Wilkie is just promote another Done For You webinar to our list next week.
Okay.
And just put the changes together. So, you know, webinar on Wednesday or Thursday. Is there any preference that you have?
Let me just check my calendar right quick. We're going to let it go over to Thursday, right? I mean, to the following Tuesday?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to close out the following Tuesday, correct?
Either day's open for me, so.
Okay. Let's do Thursday and get a little bit extra time to just prep up on the
That's a good
webinar
idea,
and
yeah.
get everything together. Okay. So let's book that for, we can do that for, you want to do 11 or 12?
12.
Pacific.
Your time, right?
Yes, yeah, 12. Okay,
How
12
about
Pacific.
11? Do you want to do
11? Okay.
Yeah, so 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, cool. Webinar for, okay, book that.
Okay.
All right, so we'll promote that and get that going, and excellent. Perfect. All right, guys.
Well, you
Tim
mean,
furiously tallying scores over there.
yeah, I can get started and we can stop.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Okay. Just let me know, Kim, and I'll stop for a second.
At a
Okay.
halfway point, Jeff, at a halfway point, when you're ready to take a break, that's when we're going to announce the winner.
Oh, yeah, I have the scores already
Well,
up
let's
on
do
the site for...
Okay, let's do it. All right, my bad.
All right, who's the grand winner?
Monalay, 7 points. She has some 2 points and then 1 point for some.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right
Thank
on,
you.
Monolay. Right on.
You have a tie for the second place, Francis Joy and Charlene.
Who's second?
Francis Joy and Charlene both have 5, and Miss Tess and Christy scored 4.
Okay.
Nice job, ladies.
Yeah, fantastic. You wrested that first place away from David.
Yeah, I'm kind of, and she knows I'm kind of pissed about it because I was really playing.
Sorry,
So
Mr. David.
Yeah, well, nice job.
Mhm.
Love you, Mona Lay.
All right.
Better luck next
All right. Great job. Yeah, great job, Monolay. That's fabulous. And you are the first champion of the winner's circle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
And it gets super competitive in the space. So usually, you know, it gets super competitive. So what you guys want to do is if you want to, you know, be the champion at the top of the pedestal there, you definitely want to study the material, make sure you take great notes, and study the material that you're given so you can be prepared, because every time we do a training, we'll do a winner's circle along with it to quiz you on the previous training. So,
That's right.
yeah, great job. Thanks for everybody for participating. I thought that was fabulous. And, yeah, thanks so much. Over to you, Jeff, to lead us in this training.
All right, fantastic. Okay, how to create a LinkedIn search, right? And we talked about, I think, I'm not sure if everybody was here, but when I go through this training and I put forward the reason I took my screen off because I was adding some more to this checklist. I resent it to David. The section I added was right here. So if you don't have this new, then don't worry about it. You'll get this section, the new one, okay? And it's labeled search checklist 7.7 version 2, so July the 7th. So how to create an expert search on LinkedIn. Once you understand this, you will be an expert. Okay, you're going to be a relative expert to every client that you talk to. And this is probably, apart from onboarding and asking the right questions to the client and making sure we have the right information from them, the next step in delivering excellent customer service to the client is to get their search correct. Because when they come to us, and Dave and I were talking about this earlier in a meeting, and I think a lot of you are on there, a lot of times the clients, they don't understand LinkedIn, so they're not really sure who it is and how to describe exactly who they're searching for. You know, I've had clients and prospects tell them, well, you know, I'm searching for anybody that has $300,000 or has $10,000 or anybody that's spending this amount of money on something. And you have to understand what LinkedIn is. It's a giant database, okay? LinkedIn's a membership site with over, and I've got the number up here, 496 million plus member profiles. Where did I get that number? Let me show you where I got that number. Okay, so here is my sales navigator. I'm going to click on Lead Builder. And up pops the advanced lead search form. That says 0 results in here. Okay, and why does it say 0? Because this is how to access the LinkedIn database. And I have put no filters in here. Each one of these sections is a section that relates to a filter. Okay, and a filter is a data point. Everything you see up here, these are the top filters on the top and then the other filters down below. Everything you see up here relates to information inside the LinkedIn database. And the LinkedIn database is made up of content that's provided by its members that are either related to groups or to people or to jobs or to companies. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. So when I have put nothing in here, I have 0 results, and that's because I haven't asked LinkedIn to tell me who matches this. And every time you add another filter, okay, if I do relationship and then I do geography, it's narrowing the search. So when it starts out with 0, let me show you how I can get that number. All right, so I'm going to put in second level connections. You're going to see that number change. So I have 8 million second level connections in my network. Then I put in group members. The number goes to 9,400,000. If I put in third and everyone else, you see the number change to 496, 162. So it's already changed in the last couple of hours since I put this on that document. So this number's constantly changing. Look, it's gone up about 50,000 members, right, in the last couple of hours. So LinkedIn, what we just talked about, is the world's best B2B lead generation or social networking site for business. And it's got almost half a billion members on it. And the profiles, and everybody that's a member has a profile. And you also have company profiles and job profiles and other things. But when we're talking about members, members have profiles that contain data that's supplied by members. Okay, so here's my profile. All right, we've all seen this. All of our clients have these. So, you know, what information's in here? It's information I put in here. When you sign up for a LinkedIn account, it starts asking you questions. You know, what's your name? What's your job title? What's your email? You know, what you ask if you want to put a summary in. You don't have to. I've seen profiles had 0 summary. There was no summary because the member didn't put it in there. LinkedIn doesn't make these things up. It asks you to put in that information. It asks you what school you went to. It asks you to put in your experiences. It asks you to tell you what skills you have, who you're following, what your interests are. All of that type of information is supplied by members' recommendations or supplied by other members. But all of this type of information is supplied by the member. So the data the information about the member is only as good and only as updated as the member provides LinkedIn. You know, if you change jobs and you don't change your profile, everybody's gonna think you're at your old company. You may have changed jobs 10 years ago. If you haven't updated your profile, everybody's gonna still think you were at the job from 10 years ago. So LinkedIn is this giant database containing information about people, about groups, about companies. Here's another important thing, and we'll talk, well, I'll wait until we get to that section. So everybody understands this is a giant networking site. It contains information about its members, close to 500 million. All the content, all the information about the members is supplied by the members. Okay, so when you're searching for people, you're depending upon the information that they have put in to the LinkedIn system in order to get search results. All right. When you're searching for people, you decide what data filters you want to use. And we'll go through all of that in just a moment. But one of the key things I want you to understand that if you request to locate members who have a certain piece of data associated with their profile and they don't have it, okay, then they will be excluded from your search. So when you're in here creating a search, we'll probably talk about this more as we're going through each section. But when I go in here and I put in and I say, you know, I only want people in the Atlanta area, the greater Atlanta area, right? Then only people that LinkedIn has determined based upon the information supplied will show up in this. Now, you saw when I put this in here, you know, people select. LinkedIn doesn't know where you live, right? It doesn't automatically know where you live. It's not looking at your IP address and determining that's where you live. You have to say, this is where I'm located. So I've got greater Atlanta area, and I have Atlanta, Georgia. So I could have selected Atlanta, Georgia. So if I'm looking for real estate agents in the Atlanta market, when I put in geography, I have to look at all of these options. Okay, I can't create my own option. All of these different selections are actual locations that are inside of LinkedIn that the members have selected. So if I want to make sure I get everybody in Atlanta, I'm going to select greater Atlanta area and Atlanta, Georgia, because some members may have selected this. You see I've got 2.6 million results here. If I take this out, see, it changed, right? So you have to think about what you're doing. You're selecting different pieces of information associated with your targets for your clients, and you have to think about what the members that you're searching for, what they're doing, because everything's based on the information they provide to LinkedIn. And so you want to make sure that you understand when you're selecting these different filters, what you're doing is you're narrowing the search results. LinkedIn's all about targeting, selecting the most ideal prospects for your client. So just that little simple thing, you know, greater Atlanta area and Atlanta, Georgia, you can see that that changed the number of results. Not by much, but by few. Most people select, for whatever reason, they selected the greater Atlanta area. But just use that as an example. Just understand that you're accessing a database, and the database contains information supplied by its members. And when you select things, you're basically narrowing down the search results to people that have supplied that same information to LinkedIn. And every time you add a filter or take a filter away, it will change the results, assuming that anybody has actually selected those results. All right, does everybody understand that? Because this is a very basic point that's critical to understand the rest of what we're going to talk about. Does anybody have any questions about that you want to ask at this juncture? So the key thing to remember here is every filter that you select in a search is going to narrow the results. It's going to reduce the results. And it's going to narrow it down to people that have actually told LinkedIn, yes, this applies to me. This is the answer to that question, whatever whether it's title, industry, location, whatever it is. Only people that have supplied that same information to LinkedIn that's in the database for LinkedIn for that member's profile that's in your network is actually going to show up in your search. Somebody started to ask a question. Go ahead.
Mr. Jeff, this is Tess. I want to ask, is there a difference when you select, for example, you just select Atlanta and greater Atlanta area?
Yeah, the difference is, because I live in the greater Atlanta area, okay, so when I set up my profile, now I can't remember, I think I chose greater Atlanta. So the difference is only that, and this is critical too, we had, some clients, they're looking to, I'll use this as an example, they were looking to connect with chiropractors, okay? And they were trying to market a product, a service for chiropractors. And they thought, well, the chiropractors are really in the health and wellness industry. They're not really in the medical industry. They're kind of in the medical industry, and I don't know if everybody knows what a chiropractor is, but it's there is a doctor of chiropractic, but it's kind of two separate schools of thought relative to how they treat people. And so they thought, well, they're not really medical doctors. It's not really a medical practice. So I'm not going to select medical practice as my industry. And they selected alternative medicine, I think, was the industry. So alternative medicine, right? So let's use this as an example. So I put in alternative medicine. I don't have anything else. So that means there are 650,000 profiles within my network around the world, right? Because I don't have any geography. The only thing I've selected is alternative. So there are 650,000 members of LinkedIn around the world that have selected their industry as alternative medicine. Now I'm going to select chiropractor. That is a title inside here. So I'm going to select chiropractor. So anywhere in the world, 200 plus countries, out of 500 million members, there are 3,000 chiropractors that have identified their industry as alternative medicine. So if I'm looking for chiropractors, and let's say I'm looking for chiropractors anywhere in the world, if you select this and this is your starting point, we do everything else. Okay, we won't go through the full search, but we're starting out at the very beginning, right? So I think, okay, well, great, I've got 3,000 results. That's what I need. We don't really want to go over 1,000, so I have plenty. But let me show you what happens when I put in medical practice, right? Because now it doubles. There's 7,000 people. There's 7,000 chiropractors around the world inside my network. Half of them think that their industry is medical practice, and the other half think that their industry is alternative medicine. So it's very important. You talk to your client. You look at what information they provide to us about who they're targeting. But you're the expert on LinkedIn. They're not. Okay, so you have to put yourself in the mind of the targets that you're after. And this would apply to multiple different things. If you go and look at, if you just look around inside your LinkedIn account and you look at the industries that people selected, and maybe you just search for, well, we could even do this. You take any kind of title. You can take CEO, right? If you put CEO in there, you can get a whole bunch of industries. All kinds of industries, all 146 different industries. So when you're creating a search, you have to put yourself in the mind of the prospect that your client's after, and think about how they describe themselves to LinkedIn, because that's what you're after. You're trying to identify the ideal targets that are inside of LinkedIn using the information that the target supplied to LinkedIn, not just the information that your client supplied. Your client's telling you, I want to talk to chiropractors. And if they tell you, well, I want to talk to chiropractors that have chosen alternative medicine as their industry, you got to think about, well, maybe there's some chiropractors that did not choose alternative medicine as their industry. Right? So it's good when you're creating a search. One of the things we'll talk about in just a moment is you have to test the addition or deletion of different filters to make sure you're getting the maximum results that you're looking for. Now, we don't want a search with 7,000 results, so we'll talk in just a moment about ways to reduce your search, to reduce it down below 1,000 so that we make sure we make use, right? Because 7,000 results, and this is just a start. You know, I haven't really targeted chiropractors. Happen to know there's, over 50,000 of them just in the U.S. So, right, I don't have anywhere near the total number. But if I were targeting them on this and started going after them, then the number of results is going to grow. All right, is any other questions about that? About what is important about LinkedIn? It's a giant database of member-supplied content, and when you're creating a search, you have to take what the client said who they want to target, and then you have to apply that and play around with it, test it a little bit inside of LinkedIn, and make sure that you're getting everybody that you're focused on. All right, at any point in time, just stop me and ask a question. Okay, we'll move on because we're at 2:40. All right, so what is more difficult for LinkedIn? So we talked about, what is a LinkedIn search? What is it good for, right? It's the biggest B2B lead generation platform, social networking platform. But what can be more difficult for LinkedIn? Right, now think about everybody has signed up for LinkedIn. If you want to think about what the questions are related to LinkedIn, you can always go into your account and you can say, edit your profile, public profile. Add a new profile section. There's training that you can go through. You can look at the different sections if you're not confident about what all the different sections are. So what is more difficult for LinkedIn? Age, right? LinkedIn doesn't ask you how old you are. So and I'm going to use real world examples. We've got, financial advisors that are looking for, men 59 plus who have 250,000 in savings who want help with financial planning. Well, let's start with age. Age is not part of LinkedIn. It doesn't ask you that, but there's a filter, right? And what it is years of experience. Now, all it's got is more than 10 years. It's not going to be able to tell you 59 plus. So the closest thing we have to age is years of experience, and it's not really a great filter for that. Okay, but this is what you would relate it to if you're talking to a client. Hopefully when they've gone through the sales process, they understand what LinkedIn is good for and what it's not good for, but when you're talking to them, just understand that. The next thing is gender. LinkedIn doesn't ask you whether you're male or female, but we actually have at least one client who only wants females. And so what we have to do is manually, we create a search using all the other filters that we might have. And what happens is when they're going through that search, they're actually looking at the photos for the member, and they're bypassing the ones that are male and only sending invitations to the ones that are female. Okay, so we've although LinkedIn doesn't have gender, we're actually manually using our smarts. Our team is going through and only inviting the females. The next thing, intent to buy. Okay, I use this example of men 59 plus have 250,000 in savings. You know, LinkedIn's it's not a website. It doesn't have a web form. It's not asking questions. It's not a site on financial services or, you know, your intent to buy farm machinery or anything else. It doesn't ask those type of questions. Now, you could advertise on LinkedIn and probably create a survey to do that, but LinkedIn itself, the database of what information is supplied, doesn't have that in there. But we can try to find groups, okay? There are probably, you know, financial planning groups, people that are interested in financial planning or interested in retirement. Something related to financial planning or farm machinery or anything else that one of our clients might be interested in. There are probably groups, and groups are very powerful. I'm going to show you how to locate those. And that's one of the first things you should do for your client is to find groups and join and ask to join. You have to ask to join them. Some of them automatically accept you. Most do not. You have to be accepted by the group admin. Non-LinkedIn filters. You know, I've had this question before. Commercial building owners. I've got a product, you know, I've had people that are selling cost tax saving services to commercial building owners. That's probably, you know, finding somebody, there is no filter for commercial building owner. And, you know, unless somebody puts in their profile that they own commercial buildings, that's a very difficult thing to select for. But you can search for groups, right? You might search for companies that have the facilities manager, you know, companies that own property, have offices around the world. Somebody's managing that. So there are other ways of getting at that. So, but non-LinkedIn filters, I'm a commercial building owner. You know, I own a Ford Bronco. That type of information isn't really in LinkedIn. So you have to understand what information LinkedIn is asking people for and what's going to be the easiest to get at. But in using keywords, we'll go through that in just a moment. You can try to select for things, but it will only pop up and show results if, in fact, a member that's in your network that meets all your other filters that you create actually has those words somewhere in their profile. Consumer goods. You know, I want to search for car buyers or home buyers or homeowners. That information is not part of the LinkedIn data set. LinkedIn doesn't ask you if you own a home or if you're renting a home. So you'd have to use what available filters there are inside of LinkedIn to try to identify people that might likely be in that group of people that might own a home or might own a car. But you can also search for groups. You know, maybe there's a homeowners group. I don't know whether this is true or not, but there are thousands of groups. Maybe, you know, I'm sure tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of groups. And so you would search for a group, and we'll come to that in just a moment, that might contain people that match who your client's looking for. Okay, so because groups associate interests. And if once you understand who your client's looking for, then you look for groups that might contain people that match the other filters. So let's talk about groups. Is there any questions about this? Does anybody have a search that you've tried to create that you found to be difficult that you have a question about? All right, let's go on to groups. So I'm going to go here. So when you're searching for groups, right, I'm logged in. So what you do, let's say I put this up here, so real estate investors, right? So I put in real estate investors, the word real estate investors into the search, and it pops up here, and it shows jobs first, right? And why is that? Because LinkedIn's trying to help people get jobs, and it has services helping getting people to promote jobs and services around that. But if I want to search for groups related to real estate investors, I just click on groups. Now there's 2,000 groups inside of LinkedIn that somehow relate to real estate investors. All right. So what I would do typically is I'm going to look for, and it's not organized this way. I'm looking for the groups because there's an ultimate limit, 100 groups. And there's also a limit to the number of groups that you can request to join at any one time. I think it's 8. So once you have met your limit, LinkedIn will tell you you can't request to join any more groups until somebody answers your request, or you can delete them. So what I would typically do is I'm going to look for the ones that have the most number of members, right, because I can't join all 2,000 of these. So I want to get the ones that have the most members. So I'm going to select this one that has 68,000. I click on it, it takes me there, and it's asked to join. Okay, when you click this, then it's going to say pending. Your request has been submitted. Now it says there's 50,000 members. So, it said there were 68 on the other page. Now it says there's 50, so the numbers obviously changed. I'm not sure which is the right one. There's probably no way to know. You can actually look at all the members, but I'm not going to do that. So that's how you do it. Now, once you have gone to a specific group, then you can go to My Groups. Okay, and these are all the groups that I'm either a member of or your client's a member of or that are pending. So you can click on My Pending Groups, right? So I requested to become a member of LinkedIn CEO, and for whatever reason, I'm not a member yet. Also Executive Roundtable, and this is the one I just did. And I can come over here and delete that. I can withdraw my request. Why am I not a member of these? Probably because they didn't, they weren't paying attention, or they looked at me and decided they didn't want me in there. And this is how you get to your groups that you are a member of and your pending groups. And you can actually create a group as well. So that's how you join groups. You log in, search for groups by keyword inside the linkedin.com site. It's going to pop up a list. You find the ones that are the largest groups, they have the most number of members, and you ask to join. Then you go back and locate more large groups. So if I was in here, I just hit my back key. Okay, and those are the groups I'm in. This is the one pending. You can actually click withdraw from there. I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. It said something went wrong. That's because I'd already asked to withdraw from it. All right, so here are the groups again. Now I would go down to the next one. This one has 141,000, real estate investor. That's a great group if that's who I was looking for. Okay, and it's the same process. You want to do this first thing. And why? Because I'm not, remember when our example up here, right? If I put in, let's get rid of these. Give it a second to catch up. So when I put in, right, let's put CEOs. Almost 3 million CEOs in my network. Now, if I put in relationship, put in second level connections that I want to target, and I did not actually want to do that. And I'll go ahead and show you this too. You know, when you type in something like CEO, remember that there are alternatives to that, right? So I can put in CEO, then I'm going to spell out. There's also Chief Executive Officer. There's also a Chief Officer. All right, so Chief Officer. And if you're doing international searches, you know, sometimes you have to think about too that in other countries, the CEO may be a managing director. They think about their titling is different. So if you're doing international searches, you want to talk to your client, make sure you're covering all the titles that are associated with all the countries that you're focused on. But I've got 3.6 million results, right? If I take out Chief Officer, I didn't want to do that. Go back there. Then it will give me a different results. So I'm going to go back here, just put in CEO. 2.9 million. Now, if I put in second level connections, it's going to change that. Now it's only 317,000 second level connections. If I click on group members, it just went up to 368. So targeting groups as part of your search expands the network that you can go after, because that's one of the factors of groups allow you to, as long as you're a member, you can reach out and connect with them. You can message to them. If they're second level connection, you can invite them connect. If they're not, you can send them an email. You can locate them and communicate with them inside of LinkedIn. So that's why you want to make sure that you, once you talk to your client and you understand who they're after, you want to locate groups or have them locate groups that your target market is likely to be a member of. And they're particularly important when you're trying to find interests. You know, I mean, I could be, you know, if I could look here for CEOs that are group members. Okay, and you can actually search for groups. So, for example, if I wasn't a member of the real estate, but if I had a, let's see, I think I'm a member of this. I don't remember what, I'm not sure, I can't remember what groups I'm a member of, but you can actually select a group, right, and search only for CEOs within that group. So that's why groups are so important, because it allows you to select people that fit all your other filters that are also members of a group, and the group indicates interest. All right, does anybody have a question about groups?
Mr. Jeff?
Yes.
Sir, I'm just curious. Example, I have my own LinkedIn account and then I wanted to join groups. I have a question. If all these groups should have to be a confirmation from the admins of this group, or there are some groups that you can immediately be a member?
Sometimes they will automatically allow you to join. That decision is made by the admin. So when they set it up, they may say, I'll accept anybody who requests it, or other times they have to approve it. You can't, you don't really know that until you actually do it.
Okay, Mr. Jeff.
Okay. Any other
I also have a
questions?
question, Mr. Jeff.
Sure.
Yes, for joining groups, let's say for the clients, can we proactively do it ourselves for the client, or do we need to do it with the client, or suggest that the client should try to join groups?
I would go ahead and do it with them, because it'll show them that you understand LinkedIn, and once you talk to them about who their targets are, and you might spend some time in your own LinkedIn pro, because everybody can see all the groups. You know, they're not limited by your networks. If you have one connection, you can still see all the groups. So you might just understand, you know, the different types of groups. But, you know, if let's say that somebody's focused on software sales, right? That's the market that they're after. So I'm going to look,
Okay.
right? So I'm going to look for groups about software sales. Look, there's 533 results. This one has 24,000. This one has 2 million, right? I want to join that group. Right? So even if you have a client, think about this. How many times have we had to boost clients that had very few connections?
Twice.
Well, you've done it twice, but we've done it many times, right? And we did it because they didn't have enough people in their network. If I came in here and joined this group and they accepted me, well, guess what? My network just expanded by 2 million people.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the power of groups. It's like a super boost. And the beautiful thing about it, the thing about the Lion Boost is that we have a list of people that are generally willing to accept our invitation to connect, right? Because they're trying to build their network. They may or may not see the invitation. That's another matter. But they're generally willing to accept it. But there's only 1,000 of them. If I go and first thing I do is join this group and they accept me, and I could go join, request to join 7 other ones, then guess what? My networks become huge all of a sudden. If I send out 8 different requests to join a group and all 8 accept it, now you don't necessarily want to just do it to any kind of large group, because what you're really after is you're trying to find groups that contain the people that you're targeting. But when you accept those groups, when you're accepted into them, you automatically now get access to all their members. And depending upon what their privacy settings are, if they have said, I am willing to accept invitations from anybody who's a second level connection, then now you just expanded your network by 2 million with one group connection. So that's why groups are so important. Okay, so I would go ahead and when you're talking to the client, go ahead and show them. Okay, do a search for it. It's not hard to do. You just put it you go into LinkedIn, do it, and you put it up here in the search bar, right? If they're after software sales or chiropractors or whatever it is whoever they're targeting. Now you can even say, well, okay, I'm targeting CEOs. Okay, groups about CEO. Look, there's 2,000 of those. This one has 235,000 members in it. Chances are, now you don't know if they're targeting CEOs of oil and gas companies, then that's a different matter. You would put in oil and gas. Right? You just put that in there, and then it's going to come up with groups. There are 4,500 oil and gas groups. Okay, now if you really want to focus on the industry that you're after, whether it's e-commerce or outsourcing companies in India, whatever it is that you're focused on, wherever the industry is that you're focused on, go look for a group about that, because and even if you're ultimately focused on CEOs that are CEOs of oil and gas companies, you want to go to the industry, not to the title, because the titles are going to be part of that. But if all you're focused on is CEOs and you don't care what the industry is, then you would go to CEOs. Okay, we just saw there was 2,000 groups about that. So that's the power of groups. Okay, and you want to go ahead and do that. It could be part of your onboarding, part of your discussion, and do it with your client. Now they can go and search some more, okay, because there's 4,500 results. Again, there's only 100. You can only request, I think, 8 at a time. So you can't sit here for hours because LinkedIn's not going to let you. And there's no reason to. Chances are that oil and gas, this one's got 250 oil and gas industry people. oil and gas industry professionals, 352,000, 250,000. There's probably some overlap there. You know, somebody who's really into the oil and gas business is probably a member of several of these groups. Why not? So it's a very, and if you go here to like page 10. Now this one's, okay, oil and energy recruitment, 475,000. So that's a pretty large group. But you don't want to sit here and look through 4,500 different groups. But they can. You know, you just need enough to get going. And you can tell them, okay, well, go look at these groups, and because they can be in these groups posting questions, they can interact with the group, and that's how they can get seen by all these people that are members of these groups. But I would do this for them and show them and let them, if they want to dig deeper, and you know, if they find a better, because there's a lot, I mean, this is oil and gas, right? And here's one called Commodity Trading Network. That's not really what we asked for, but maybe that's what they're looking for, or maybe they would become interested. But so you can kind of show them how groups work. Go ahead and ask to join, maybe the limit until LinkedIn tells you to stop. And if they want to substitute groups or add more groups, then they can do that. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, Mr. Jeff, thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Did somebody else have a question? Okay. All right, we'll move on. And if you think of something later, just come back and ask me. All right, let's talk about what you do before you actually go to do the search. All right, we talked about what is LinkedIn search. It's access to a giant database. Everybody knows what a database is. What is more difficult for LinkedIn, but not necessarily impossible. But, you know, if somebody's looking for people that, you know, if you're looking for families that have 2-year-olds, LinkedIn's not a great place for that. You can, if you're looking for executives that have at least 10 years of experience, and you think that might be a good indicator of people that might have a 2-year-old, then, you know, that's what you can do. But there might be better places to spend your money to find families with 2-year-olds. So let's talk about the LinkedIn pre-search assessment checklist. All right, first thing is, how many connections does your client have? If they have less than 500, definitely give them a lion boost. But you also want to go in and join groups, and we've just shown why, right? Because there's only 1,000 lions. Everybody's not going to accept. Now, presumably, every one of those lions has a fairly large network, so every time you connect with them, it's going to expand your network. But don't forget groups, because in addition to expanding your network, you are expanding your network with people that are interested in what your client's interested in. Okay, so that's why this is like super lions, because a lion could be somebody who has no interest, is not your prospect for your client. They have nothing to do with what your client's after, but their networks could have people. That's why that works. They may not be interested in what your client's interested in, but they have people in their network that are. And that's why we want to get your number of connections up. But in addition to that, we want to add members of groups, because the members of groups are people that your client is targeting, or they're interested in what the area or the industry that your client is targeting. You know, there will certainly be members of groups that are not your client's targets. If they only want to talk to CEOs or CFOs, then they're going to be people that are salespeople or people that are not really in that industry, that don't fit your search filter. But that's how to expand very quickly the network for your client. I think everybody knows how to do Boost. The next is geography. What geography is your client after? What country or countries does your client want to generate leads from? You have to be very careful that you understand that, because if you create a search that's worldwide, if you don't put a filter into geography, then you're going to get results from all over the world. And if your client's only interested in people from the United States or from Great Britain, and you got people from India, you're going to get your clients will say the results are not who I'm looking for. Okay, and that's because you didn't select the right geography. So understand what country or countries your client wants to generate leads from. And if they're trying to narrow it down, right, we talked about Atlanta. Are they looking for leads from a more local area, such as a state or a region, if it's outside the U.S., right? Countries outside the U.S. have different names. They don't have necessarily states. So whatever country that you're focused on, make sure you understand how the geography is described, and whether it's a state or region or a city or a group of cities or postal codes. Sometimes it's within 100 or 50 miles of a specific postal code. That's all possible, but you make sure you understand that before you start the search. So have I expanded? Question number one, have I expanded my client's network? Does my client's network need expanding? The answer is always yes in terms of groups. You should always select groups first thing that match who your client's targeting. Why? Because it's going to add potential targets to your search that are actually focused and interested in the industry that your client's focusing. Okay? Most of the clients you talk to, when they come to us, their network is not made up of only the people that they're targeting. They've selected and accepted invitations from a lot of different people, including myself. They came to wherever they are prior to coming to us, and whether their network has 100 people or 10,000 people, it's probably not all made up of their targets. So adding groups that are targeted on the industry that your client's targeting is going to quickly expand the network associated with who they're targeting very quickly. If they have less than 500, go ahead and boost them. Okay. Now, when you boost with LinkedIn Open Networkers, that network, there's no guarantee that any of those people that they're requesting to join with them, that are going to connect with them, are actually your targets. They're going to show up in our tracking sheet, right? Because they're going to connect with them, and then that's going to become a connection. It's going to get tracked, but that's not necessarily going to match their target. So we're going to be adding a bunch of people very quickly that are not their target. And even if you join groups and you send it, but when you join a group and you create a search, you're actually going to be targeting just those people that match who your client's going after. So that's the power of groups. Industries is the next thing. Okay, LinkedIn has 146 industries. What's the number one best industry to find ideal prospects for your client? I know that the clients generally don't understand that. If you ask them what is their number one industry, they'll give you 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so they don't really know what the number one industry is, because for whatever reason, they haven't measured it. They don't have enough experience. They don't know the answer to it, so they'll give you multiples. But LinkedIn wants you to target. Okay, and why? Because we don't want search results more than 1,000, and we actually want less, because the searches are dynamic. They're going to continue to grow. As your network grows, anybody that matches those filters are going to get added to that search. So when you're talking with them, they're going to give you 5, 10, 15, 20 different industries. But you want to ask them, look, if you only could choose one, pick one. What is your number one? If you're not sure, if you don't have a concrete answer, use your gut. Okay, there's only one answer to this question, and that is one industry. Pick that. Pick the one that you want to start with. We can always create searches later on for the other industries, but you have to pick one. Okay, if we're doing the search and we don't get enough results using one industry, we can add another. But give them to me in the order of their priority. Because LinkedIn forces us to target, we have to pick one. We're going to start with one. Use your gut. What's your answer? So that's important. Understanding the top industries, not 20. I need the top 2 or 3 and what's number 1. And understand why, so you can explain it to them. The reason is because LinkedIn forces us to target. This is not an advertising platform. If you want to do LinkedIn advertising, you can do that, but that's not what this is. And so you need to pick the top one. Use an educated guess. You are the client. You understand your business better than I do. You decide what you think is a top industry. We're going to check the results when we complete the search to see who the search results are providing. So you'll get a chance to change it if you don't think that the search results are who you're actually targeting. Or after we're into this, you're starting to get results. If you want to change it from computer software to computer hardware, we can do that. Okay, and create a new search. Any questions about industries? All right, if you think about it in a minute, just jump in, stop me, and I'll go back to it and answer it for you. So titles. When you're using the title filter, you must use titles that LinkedIn provides, just like with industries, right? You can't make up an industry that's not inside LinkedIn. You start typing something here, and let me think of sports players. Guess what? There is no industry for sports players. It's not in there, so it won't. You can't add it. You can't use that as a filter. You have to use only the filters that LinkedIn provides. They've got one called sports. Okay, so everybody has a list of 146. You've got it in your search document. You have to select those industries. And I've seen this before, the client starts, they don't know necessarily what the 146 industries are, so they're using industry lingo. They're describing the industry and using the terminology that they've learned being in their business. But you have to associate their words with the actual industries that LinkedIn has. So that may be something you want to talk to them about. When they answer our questions, what industries are you after? Because we're not giving them a list of all 147 to start. And they come up with industries that are not in the list that LinkedIn provides, then you need to talk to them about that and try to find which industries of the 146 are most closely associated with who they're looking for. Okay, and remember what I showed you before. Chiropractors, alternative medicine, and medical practice. Now, we had 3,000 results for alternative medicine. We had 3,000 results for medical practice. So we had plenty of results regardless using my profile. But your clients, I have 21,000 direct connections, and I'm a member of a lot of groups. So your client may not have that luxury. If they use alternative medicine, they may come up with 100 chiropractors. And you're going to think, oh, gee, that's not enough. What am I going to do? Well, I can join groups, for one. But secondly, if I'm looking under chiropractor, it says doctor of chiropractic, maybe I should look under medical practice and see if there aren't some chiropractors that put themselves in that industry. And same goes for any type of industry that your clients are focused on. Okay, and it's not like there's one's wrong or right. And if you have a question, if you create one, you can always come back and say, "Hey, team, can anybody think of another industry that I might search for chiropractors for?" You know, more heads are better than one. So we can come up when you're in your meetings, ask that question and see what everybody else comes up with, because it may be something you just hadn't thought about. All right, let's go back. So we talked about titles. So the same goes for titles, right? So with titles, let me get out of that. Remember what I showed you here, CEO. We also have Chief Executive Officer. Right? And so there could be, there's chiropractor, and then there's doctor of chiropractic. If you put in doctor, there's also medical doctor PhD, doctor of medicine, resident doctor, doctoral candidate. The reason why these are all in here is because at least one member somewhere in LinkedIn has used that description to identify themselves at some point in time. I don't know exactly how these are all created, but what that means, they're not putting them up there because nobody has identified themselves that way, more than likely. Okay. Any questions about titles or industries? It's very important. Or geography. These are all the key things that you're going to use to create a search. This is not rocket science. Every one of you is quickly going to be an expert in this. You just have to understand how it's constructed, what the filters are, and then you just have to do it. You know, you can go in and play around with this and think about different searches that have been created for your clients and go test it out. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. The only time it's wrong is when you're selecting the wrong targets for your client. If your search is off and you're sending connection invites to the right people that they're trying to connect with, that they're ultimately trying to, you know, sell something to or partner with or whatever it is they're trying to achieve on LinkedIn, then that's wrong. So this is critically important, but you just have to understand the key things, and you've got a checklist here in this training, and you've got us to ask questions of. So we talked about groups. So join groups for your client. You can actually select for groups. I showed you that. Company size and company revenue. Okay, so inside of LinkedIn, you see there's a company headcount. That's company size, right? So if you put this in there, it already has the different levels that you can select from. Sometimes clients are only looking for small companies. Sometimes they're looking for large companies. If you don't put anything, then it's going to include every company of every size. But let me tell you this, okay? If this is based on company profiles inside of LinkedIn that have identified the number of employees that they have. So what does that mean? That means that if you're searching for, you know, companies with 1 to 10 employees, right? Now I took this out. Let's see how many results with 382 results, sports CEOs, and the 3 other titles. So I have 382 people, members of LinkedIn inside of my network that have identified themselves as being in the sports industry that have the title of CEO, that are group members. Okay, if I say I only want people that work are associated with companies that have 1 to 10 employees, it reduces it to 129. But let me explain something to you. This filter is only associated with companies that are identified on these profiles that actually have a company profile. Because when you create a member profile and you say, I work at such and such company, there's nothing in that says, well, how many employees are there? It actually is taking that from company profiles that are separately created inside LinkedIn. So if you select from 1 to 10, there could be people that out of that 300 results that are working at a company with 1 to 10 employees, but they don't have a company profile. So the smaller the company that you select, the more likely it is that they actually don't have a company profile. And so, or they have one, but they didn't say how many employees they had. So what you're doing is you're limiting results, right? You've selected a subset of the total results that you're after, but only the people that are working at companies that have company profiles that identify they have 1 to 10 employees are going to show up in your results. So instead of 129, there may be 150 actual people that are your targets that fit all your filters. It's just that some of them don't have anything identified in their profile that actually shows they work at a company that has 1 to 10 employees. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that you can necessarily do about. I just want you to understand how the database works. Okay, if you got thousands of results, it's not going to matter. You can't do anything the only thing you could do to try to capture everybody who might possibly work at a company with 1 to 10 employees is remove that. But now you're going to get 382. So you're going to get people that are at companies with 10,000 employees. So that's not what your client's looking for. And you don't necessarily have to even talk to your client about this. I just want you to understand that when you're selecting, every time you select a filter, right? When I had no filters, I had 496 million prospects. As soon as I started adding filters, it got reduced. So every time you add a filter, it's going to reduce. It's going to target your results. But it's only going to show the results that actually have information related to the filters you selected. So if for whatever reason it's because they don't have a company that has a company profile and you select a company headcount filter, then you're not going to pull in results from people that don't have that. Same goes if somebody says, they put in their job title as CEO and somebody else put in Chief Executive Officer, they spelled it out. And if you don't select Chief Executive Officer, you're going to not capture all of the prospects. Okay, does anybody have a question about that? It's very important. It's not necessarily that there's a wrong answer. It's just that I want you to understand how the filters work and what happens when you use a filter. Okay, because you want to make sure that if you're selecting for CEOs, that you're looking for all the CEO-related titles. Because you can capture more results by including all the titles. And I want you to understand how company headcount works. There is no company revenue. A lot of times the clients, well, I want companies that make at least $2 million a year. That's not in there. You're not going to be able to use keywords to get at that. What you would likely do, and what I tell clients and prospects, is that we would select companies that have a certain number of employees. It's not necessarily going to capture every company because not every company has a company profile that states what their number of employees are, but it's a good way. This is how we access the LinkedIn database. Any questions about that? All right, good. If you're thinking about it over the weekend, you go back and read this. You know, on Tuesday, we're going to have another meeting. We're going to have some questions. We'll have another winner's circle about this. Okay, but you'll have this document and you'll have the recording as well. So these are all the key things that you want to look at related to in preparing to do the search. Okay, so now we're at the point, I've gathered all this information. I understand how LinkedIn works. I've joined some groups to expand my network. Maybe I've done a boost. Now it's time to actually create my search. Where do I start? Well, I start at relationship. Okay, because relationship is the key thing. We've already just talked about we want to go after second level connections and group members. We don't go after first level because we're already connected to them. We don't go after third and everyone else because we can't connect with them unless they're an open profile. You don't need to, open profile. We'll do some results here in just a second. But an open profile, you can actually reach out and connect with them. But we don't try to include third and everyone else because open profiles are hit or miss. It may be 1 out of 100. So, but open profiles, you can't actually do it. So first thing you want to do is relationship. That's number 1. Second thing is geography, right? I want to know, make sure I collect, is where am I looking for this? Most of our clients are in the United States. So you want to make sure you select United States. Don't leave this off unless you're targeting anybody in the world. Because if you don't put in geography, whether it's United States or Georgia or Atlanta, Georgia. Now I wouldn't do, I wouldn't do all of these because these overlap each other, right? But I can select an entire country. I can select just a state or a group of states. I can select a city or a metro area or a group of cities. But when you're typing in that city, remember to look for the other variations, right? Because some people have selected Atlanta, Georgia, and some selected greater Atlanta area. So if you're targeting Atlanta, make sure you've got all the things that relate to Atlanta, or otherwise you won't have access to all of your leads in there. The next is company size. Okay? Now generally, company size, unless your client says, I only want to work with small companies or I only want to work with companies that have 200 employees, I'm looking for a specific type of company, generally we don't use company headcount or company size unless we're trying to reduce the results. This one has 1,940 results right now. So how can I reduce that? If everything else is good, I'm going to take out these. Then I can use this as I can use company size and say, well, I'm going to start with 10,000 plus. Now that reduced it, so that's not enough. So I'll select this. I can keep selecting this, and I can use company size. And everybody knows how to save the search results and how to save the search and put that search every place it needs to be inside our system and then capture the actual search results itself to identify specifically what the search is. But you can use company headcount to try to limit the search size so that you can reduce it down below 1,000 so we have a manageable search to start with. The next time you do the search, you can include the other company headcount numbers that you didn't use the first time. Okay, if you basically split the search into 2, if that would work. So that's how and why you would use company headcount. The next is title. Now, when you're doing title, remember we've already talked about the different variations. There can be an acronym like CEO or Chief Executive Officer. It can be sales manager, sales VP, vice president of sales. There's different variations. So your client may say, I just want to talk to CEOs. Well, they also mean chief executive officers. And we talked about if they're overseas, they may need managing directors. Okay, because sometimes that's the chief, they're the equivalent of CEO in other countries. So make sure you've captured all the titles that are relevant. But if you put all those titles in there, even if you have United States and sports as your industry, you got a bunch of, maybe you have VP, vice president, chief technology officer, CTO, you get all these different titles, right? You may have to use company headcount to reduce the total number of searches, or you may have to take some of the titles off so that, again, to get your research results below 1,000. So the next time you create a search, everything else stays the same. Then you could add in the rest of the titles. You leave everything else the same. Now you add the other titles in. That becomes a separate search. You split the search into parts. You could potentially take group members off. Just have second level connections. It all depends on how big your client's network is. But all of these things, title, relationship, geography, even industry. You know, if somebody says, well, here's my top 3 industries, right? You got them down to 2 or 3. You put 2 or 3 industries in there, and maybe it's over 1,000 results. You take one of the industries out. Just keep record of what you're doing. Make sure the notes are in Nimble. Make sure it's in the client folder. Make sure it's on the search page. You're keeping record so that the next time when you have to come back and do another search, or if you go ahead and create a second search, you can make sure you are separating your searches to cover all the variations of what your client's looking for. Okay, it's just a matter of keeping notes, keeping record. Next time, if you're coming back in the future, if you know what you've done in the past, what filters you used, you'll make sure that you create a different search that doesn't use the same filter, so you're going after different people. Now, maybe there might be some overlap and somebody shows up twice and you've already invited them. That's okay. You know, we're not going to invite them twice. When our team goes to send them an invitation, LinkedIn will say you've already sent an invitation. So it won't let you send a second one. All right. Next is keyword. But you only use keywords really if you're trying to exclude results, like I don't want consultants. You know, my industry is oil and gas, vice presidents of technology. And I can exclude, but I don't want consultants. I want real employees. So you can use something like not consultant to exclude anybody who has consultant somewhere in the profile. The keyword piece of this is looking for information somewhere in the profile. It could be in the title. It could be in the summary. You know, it used to do this. I don't think it does anymore, but when you're searching for people and it gives you results, let's see if it does that. Yeah, they used to show, they would highlight the words wherever they showed up, and it would highlight them in here wherever oil and gas, right? So here we see oil and gas. It's right here. It used to highlight. It doesn't do that anymore. But what it's looking for is it's looking for that phrase somewhere in the profile. So if you've already selected all the other filters correctly, you don't need to put in oil and gas here. If you select oil and gas as an industry, oil and energy, actually. So if you already selected as your industry, you got CEOs, you don't have to put CEO in here or oil and gas. You've already got your filter set up for that. But you could say not consultant. And spell it right. All right, so there's, well, I haven't created the results, but you could say, I don't want any consultants in the oil and gas business. They're not my target. So that's how you can remove things from searches. If you're creating a search and your client sees results and they see consultants in there, or they see assistants, you know, assistant to the CEO, you can say not assistant. That's how to remove things from the search that are not who your client's focused on. You can also add things by using and you have to capitalize these. You can say, I want and, okay, always in capital, and something. You can say and consultants. Or this is a good place to put in titles that are not actually the title associated, that are actually located inside of LinkedIn. If your client says, well, I'm looking for somebody, you know, Roughnecks or something, there's some kind of title. It's not inside the titles inside LinkedIn, but that's really who they're focused on. Then you could add that in there, just put it in parentheses and put in and. You could also, if you got multiple titles that are not, again, inside of LinkedIn over here, you could have or. You know, so you could have, I don't know, there's a lot of titles in here, but you could have something or. So it could be this or that, or it could be this and that. But you want to first start here. Now you could, if you put in like CEO here under keywords, what's going to happen, right? You don't want to use this for your titles instead of title over here. But if you add this in here, you say, well, Jeff, if I put this in there, it's going to look for CEO anywhere in the profiles. Yes. But then it's going to look, you know, they could have the word CEO down here in their summary. They're not a CEO, and that's who you're looking for. But if they have CEO down here, then it's going to add them into the search as long as they fit the other filters. And that may not be who you're looking for. So just be careful about using keywords. And when you're doing it, you always ask questions, right? And then you can test different configurations. And the key thing that you want to do when you're testing, the thing you want to do when you create a search is to look at the results. Now this one only had 81, but I'm going to look at my results, scroll down. This is what you do with you can look at it first yourself and then show it to your client. Is this who you're looking for? Are these the people? Remember, there's 25 results per page. Does this look like who you're trying to target? Including where they are, what their title is, the industry that they're in, et cetera, et cetera. Look at page 1, look at page 10, look at page 25. Okay, and if you look at those three different, if you look deeply into your search and it looks like the people you're looking for, then you've created the perfect search for your client. And your client has looked at it and said, yes, I agree. I approve this. Okay, I'm going to keep moving here. Any questions?
Jeff,
Yes.
I have a question. I'm not sure if you have discussed this earlier because I was in another call.
Okay.
About the Boolean search. You have 3 operators there, and, or, and what was the other one?
Not.
And not.
Mm-hmm.
Can you use 2 Boolean operators in one search, like and but not this?
Yes. Yep. And I've actually included here. I was about to get that but there's an explanation here of how to use each of these. But yes, you could have in a search. But remember, what we just talked about is that you don't, right? You're not looking for titles, but you have to be very careful when using keywords, because the keyword search is throughout the profile. Okay, it could be if you're looking for a word, you put a word into keyword and it finds it down here in the summary, or finds it somewhere in one of the experiences, then you're liable to get that result included, and that may not be who you're looking for. So, but you can definitely use that. You would put it in here. You put, this. I'm just going to leave it all capitalized. And that, not the other. Okay, and you'll actually see in here that in this description, to do a complex search, you can combine terms using parentheses. For example, to find people who have VP in their profiles, but you want to exclude assistant to VP or SVPs, type VP, not assistant or SVP. Okay, so you can definitely combine them as well, and you can, you can try, because remember, you can try that as a search instead of using the titles that are in here. Because remember, what is this? This is actually people that have selected that as their title. But if they didn't give themselves a title, that means they have to show an experience somewhere on their profile. And if they didn't create an experience anywhere and give themselves a title, then they're not going to show up. But if you, let's say they had a summary with no experiences and their summary said something about their job, then you would find them this way. So you can do it both ways. You can even add both together. But the ultimate is to look at the results and see, to make sure that they're actually delivering who you're looking for. I generally use this if there's a title related to who they're targeting that's not a title inside of LinkedIn. So they couldn't have selected, like, I don't know, there was a title related to chiropractic that was not actually a title here. So we added it over here. It was a great way. I don't remember what it was at the moment. But it was a great way of finding people that had that in their profile, but that were not found using titles because it wasn't a title that LinkedIn included. So if it's something that LinkedIn doesn't have, then you can try that. Or if you're trying to exclude something like consultant or assistant, like we just showed. Because if you say not assistant to the VP, then even if they chose executive assistant or something else, then, or assistant, but they had somewhere in their description on their profile that they were the assistant to the VP, and you say not that, then it's going to exclude them. Does that make sense? Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. And look, you can play around with this. And once you've done it a few times, you'll know exactly. And you can just do it when you're doing searches. Does it matter if one search delivers 900 people and the other one is 950 and the other one, and you create a different one and it's 850? Not really, ultimately, because their search is going to grow. The next time you come back, even if you're targeting the same market, after we've exhausted that search, their network's going to be bigger and they'll have more results the next time around. So it's not a life and death matter unless you're targeting the wrong target. Okay, I think we've all have talked with clients that said, oh, my search is off. And that's because it was either they didn't give us the right information to start, we didn't ask them the right questions, they didn't give us the right answers, and so they later on realized, well, that's not really, they didn't know how to describe it, it wasn't right. So take the information they provide, ask them questions, show them the results before we get started, or just at the very start of what we're doing, to make sure that it, in fact, because that is the ultimate approval. When they actually see the results and they look at different pages inside the results and they say, yeah, that's exactly who I'm trying to talk to, you've done your job. You're the expert. You've pulled out of LinkedIn the people that they're looking for. There are some special search filters like years of experience that you can substitute for age. It's not an exact substitute, but it's one way you can do it. We've had other people profile language. Mary had somebody, we have a client right now that's in Japan. They started out looking for people, they were looking for, I think, representatives of companies that were located in Japan but were U.S. companies. So we were looking for profile language, thinking, okay, well, if I'm English, I work for the U.S., my profile will be in English instead of Japanese. They ultimately, though, settled on searching for people that went to specific universities, like Stanford, Harvard. I think that's where the search filter is focused on today. So it's just understanding the database, trying different things, and showing the results to the client as quickly as possible, so to make sure we're on the right path. Company type is also something else. You know, maybe it's private companies versus public companies, or it's a nonprofit. I don't think we've used that very much, but it is there as a filter. So here's some more information on Boolean searches and how to use them, when to use them. Generally, most of the time I never use them unless I'm trying to exclude something. Or, like I said, if there's a title that somebody's trying to reach and it's not one of the titles inside of LinkedIn, then we have used it to try to find those people that have that information in their profile. And that kind of brings us to the end of search training. Are there any questions that I didn't cover, or questions about what I did cover, or questions about maybe some searches that you've tried to do that have stumped you in the past, or maybe are stumping you right now? I can do them inside my network, and we'll see what kind of, I'll show you how to do them.
Mr. Jeff, this is Tess.
Okay.
I noticed one time I was with a call. I was on a call with Miss Mary. I noticed the word railroad. What is it?
What is railroad? Was it in industry?
Yes.
So that's like railroad is you know, it's a means of transportation and transport.
No. In the search itself, yeah, I didn't know. I can't remember the client, but I think it is for Andy Weevil.
Okay.
Check. Yeah, I'm gonna check, but we actually on the search, it was saved search. There was the word railroad there. It's not an industry, but I do not know where she clicked. One of the search filters. I'm gonna check first.
Okay.
Just go ahead. I'll when I'm logged in, I will let you know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, when you save a search, it actually asks you to name the search, right? So I think generally we're grabbing the search results off the page and then putting that up here to name it. But yeah, the name, it's not automatic. You actually create the name of the search. And I think our standard procedure is to grab the filters themselves and put them up there.
Yeah. And also, Mr. Jeff, just a clarification. So let's say your search there, the second one on June 1. So let's say that was the old search that we were doing before on your account. So there's a number 2, number 3. What's number that? I'm not sure. But we can actually use that. So let's say if goes like the number would go up until 500, let's say 500.
Mm-hmm.
That means that there are like new 500 people that, you know, on that criteria that we haven't really tried connecting to, because that's an old search. Or
Correct.
so we can actually click on that link, click on that number, and it will go directly to those people, the new ones. Say we're that, in that case it's 2. Before I remember, because Mr. David taught me that, we can actually save that search. Right now, it doesn't really show us the save search, because let's say if it's up to 500, can you click on view all results, Mr. Jeff, just to see where it's going to route you?
Yeah, it's going to take you back. Now it's going to combine the 2 new results plus all of the old results.
Yeah, correct. That's correct then. So so what we do, because I thought the girls had, you know, to exhaust that number, so we don't do the save search, because you can't actually save that search because it doesn't have the option to save that search.
Right.
When you go back with the previous link, yeah. So what we do is we just copy paste that link to the worksheet, and of course all the other, but we encounter, I just noticed that every time we do that, it seems like after a couple of days it gives us an error that would say like 0 searches, because Fran actually did that to the search. I did your search together with her, and we did the same thing. Like we just copy paste the link without saving the search, and we put it on the worksheet. And after a couple of days, the team Bacala told us it's giving them a 0 result. I have to investigate further to Mr. Jeff, but because I think with Charlene as well, I have to double check if that's what we did with those people that are right now getting 0 results. So
yeah, I mean that's probably you know, I don't know if that's by design inside of LinkedIn or if that's some kind of error in their programming, but I understand exactly what you're saying. So I think that's why it's important. I mean, it's good. It's okay to use that result, you know, to try to get more of the same. If those results are what the clients are looking for, and we're able to use the new results, you see that went away, right? Because I clicked on it. So if we're able to use that even for a couple of days to get a couple more, send out another 100 connection requests, and they're the right targets, that's great. But it's also why we want to make sure that we have another search already built, if we can, so that if whether it's Bacalid or World, if they say, oh, this has 0 results, what do I do? Well, we already have a search ready to go, so just go to the next one.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. In fact, I clicked on this one earlier today and it had 0 results. So I don't know if it's the way that I don't know why LinkedIn would design it that way, but maybe they just haven't. Maybe it is by design, or maybe it's just an error in their programming. But today it is. It's the way it works, and so we just want to make sure that we try to have at least one other search ready to go.
Yes, and also what Mr. David actually taught us, that we need to do like save searches. What I like an issue that I encountered, or let's say we create a search and we put that on the search criteria sheet with the number of, let's say 900 plus, and then we put there the link, and then we do the save search, and then the moment that we go back to that link, say because it's like a 1 week reserve search. After a week, we're gonna use that. It's gonna blow up to like 2,000.
Yep.
So, so what we're gonna do, I think it would be best to just, you know, filter it again, create a different search using the same criteria, and then just lower it down.
Yeah, because if
So,
I, if I created, let's say I had a safe search here, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at this one and see what's on. So if I clicked on this, right, and it has, let's see what it has. So 1.2 thousand, right? So now it's blown up. You did this a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it had 900. Now you clicked on it because you need it, and it has 1.2. So what can I do? Well, I can come down here and I can
And filter.
I can just filter and create a new search using these starting point filters. Now I've got 646. Okay, so I saved this.
Yes.
And I'm ready to go.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, actually that's what I did also a while ago.
Okay.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, look, do it differently right here. What needs to be done on that is put that back. Go back and make it 1.2. Because what you did right here, if you don't go to the next step, then you lose out. So what you want to do is you want to go back to the one, whatever the number is right there, right? That is the search that's in the search criteria sheet, and you're saying you're seeing that it blew up. It went from 981 to 1,600, right? And the search hasn't been used yet, right? The search hasn't been used yet, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what you do is you go to, scroll down just a little bit. Which did you change? What did you change in there when you made it go down, Jeff? Did you take something out of industry, or did you take out company size?
Took out company size.
Okay. Okay, so what girls would do is on the search criteria sheet, they would go into that search criteria sheet and they would copy this search, okay? In other words, they would just copy industries, highlight those industries, copy and paste them, highlight the company, the company background, copy and paste it, and put it in below that first search. Then they come back to this sheet and they take out the first search. Take out that 51 to 200. Okay, so you take that 51 to 200 out. Now you save that search again.
Yeah.
And now what you have is the first search of the 1,600, correct?
Yes.
Copy that right there, and you make that the first search. This one, the first search. Then you go back to the first search, and you take out another one. You could scroll down, Jeff, and take out you would now go down and take out another one. There you go. And now you come back up and you see the search is a different search. And you take that one and you copy it and you copy all of the search criteria to it. You can take it down even lower by knocking out an industry right there. And the thing you got to make sure you do each time is you got to know what industries you moved around for that particular search. Okay? Because if you do it the way I just showed you right now, you just got yourself 3 searches.
Yeah.
Understand? You got 3 searches out of that. You don't have to bring it under 1,000 to get 1 search. If you see something that's blown up on you and gone to 1,600, then your goal would be to get 2 searches out of that or 3 searches out of it.
Okay. All right.
Because what's going to happen, right? You're gonna set up your first search, okay, and then you're going to leave 2 other searches are going to be there underneath that first search. 647 divided by 2 divided by 25 divided by 2 is the number of days, and you're going to put that in your log. Now then you're going to put the date that you did for the date in there so that you know that you have extra searches, right? So now what you're going to do is every once in a while you can go back, right? You can go back in, you can look at the search criteria, you can open up this guy's LinkedIn account, and what are you going to see on the second search? What's going to be taking place on the second and third search? They're going to blow up, right? They're going to blow up again.
Yes.
There's two bottom ones that blow up. So as soon as one of the bottom ones goes over that 1,000 mark again, you do the same thing on that one. Okay, that's how you make it so that you're getting, because LinkedIn's doing all the work, right? If you create 3 searches out of this, 2 of those searches will blow up during that 18 days of searching, so to speak. Does that make sense, Marlene?
Yes, Mr. David.
Jeff, to you?
Yeah,
That's how I would do it.
great.
That's making it so you're not losing out and having to go every 14 days to a client to a search. When you're in there and you see that kind of a thing, do the work in there, and you're in a cool beans. Sorry to jump in. I'm going back to silent. Peace out.
All right, very good.
Thanks, Mr. David.
Tess, do you want to come back to Molly? Do you want to ask anything else? Or?
Mr. Jeff, I got it. So it was actually just a keyword. So I thought it's a keyword for an industry. Yeah. So I thought it was something else. I got it.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Christy or Francis Joy or Charlene, do you have any questions? I know I've kept you guys up late, so or I guess it's getting early over there.
No, it's okay, Mr.
I'm okay.
Mr. Jeff.
Mr. Jeff.
Do y'all have any questions or any examples you want to talk about?
Charlene, do you have a question?
I'm still trying to think of previous issues I've had. I think I only have questions when it comes to overlapping. Anyway, it will show on the page results, Mr. Jeff, right? That it's so it doesn't matter. I have tried to connect to that person previously.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because then when they try to go send an invitation, it won't let them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because sometimes we won't know if that kind of, I mean, when it comes to the search criteria, that might have been used before already, but then we tried to create another one with the same industries and titles. So we will know on the page if they are already connected and it won't cause any problem.
It won't cause any problem, but the key is just what David was just talking about. You know, when you set this up, right, if you, let's just say they have one industry, just financial services. Let's say these were all the industries this client was looking for. You start out with just financial services. You use all the techniques we just talked about to reduce that down below 1,000. And let's say you start out and you did a search and you put it in there and it came up with 1.6. Well, you could use the same strategy we just talked about to get 2 or 3 searches out of that, right? Now you got some in the bank.
Yes.
And then they're going to blow up while you're blowing up the network, and then you come back and you take the second search and split it up again. And it's just note taking and understanding what you're doing so that you're creating different searches, you know, and over time you might be able to continue, you might be able to use financial services. What started out as 1,200 searches, you might be able to use that for 2 months before you even have to go to another industry. Just because their network keeps expanding and you've kept record of how you're splitting it up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jeff.
Okay.
Mr. Jeff?
Yeah.
I have a question. It's not about searches, but about the connection request that we send out.
Okay.
For example, we send out connection request and it gets to the client and gets to client as like if they would accept it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So if a client is inactive for a very long time, those invitations that we sent would sit in their LinkedIn. Is there any limit to that, or can they still accept unlimited amount of connection requests if they have not accepted those that are sitting in there?
Sure. That's a good question. Let's talk about that. So every profile, when you create a profile with LinkedIn, they give you 3,000 connection requests. That's what they allocate to that profile. And they do that because they don't want people creating fake profiles and coming on to LinkedIn and going out and trying to connect with as many people as possible. Okay, we know that happens, right? So they have various techniques that they use to try to limit that. So one of those is they limit the number of connection invites to 3,000 to start. When you send out an invitation, it shows as sent in here. But if you go in and you delete those sent invitations, which we have done, then it's as if it was never sent. Okay, so it'll reduce, if you have 3,000 to start and you send out 1,000, you have 2,000 left, let's say 500 of those accepted. If you go in and delete the 500 that were sent that haven't been accepted, then it's as if you've only sent out 500. So now you have 2,500 to send out instead of just 2,000. So it can sit out there forever. I don't know that, LinkedIn may delete them after a year or something. I don't know. But generally, if we're sending them out and, we've had an occasion where we've had a situation where people ran out of connection requests. LinkedIn has told us to go in and delete the ones that were sent that have not been answered to reduce that number. So that's a technique that you can use as a success manager if needed to get connection requests back. And if you go in and let's say that you've used all 3,000, LinkedIn says, you've used all your connection requests. You can ask for more. You can just go to support, say I need more connection requests. And they're going to look at your performance in terms of the percentage of people that accepted your connection. And we've never had a situation where the client was not able to get more connection requests allocated to it. But one of the techniques, if needed, is to go in and delete the ones that haven't been accepted yet. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions while we're here? About anything. Let me show you something. I just have seen it recently. This looks like a new feature. I've been noticing it, but LinkedIn actually now has your weekly search appearances. In addition to the number of people that have viewed your profile over the last 90 days, views of your post in the feed, they now have added weekly search appearances. And you can actually see, and I don't, where your searchers work. It doesn't say exactly what they were searching for or what keywords they were using or anything like that. And I've clicked on these too. It will only show, it doesn't show insights, only be displayed if there are 30 or more complete member profiles from this company. So, but this shows, so they only have 13 employees on LinkedIn instead of 30, so they don't have this insight. But I thought that was pretty cool that they're actually showing now how many times you're showing up in a search, a weekly searches. So it shows you, this says, my profile showed up 2,617 times in search results between June 27th and July 4th. So we may be able to use that, at some point in the future, because I'm sure that as we work with clients, they'll show up in more and more searches. Anything else? All right, well, I appreciate everybody. We've been at this now, since 2.5 hours. So I hope everybody, you can all be experts at LinkedIn search. And this is the number one thing beyond, talking with your clients, onboarding them, getting them started. The first key step is getting their search right. And every one of you can be an expert in this. I kind of reduced it to several pages, walked you through it. David's got the recording. You've all got these checklists. You just have to use them and go through and do it. And again, there's no wrong answer except for creating the wrong search, not targeting who your client's actually after. And because we know that the search is going to grow over time by expanding the network, it doesn't matter if the first search is 900 or 700 or 750, because we've all looked at the ways of getting more results and creating, as long as you're targeting the right searches and you've got some in the bank ready to go, everything will keep rolling along. When they run out of one search, they'll just move to the next one.